All right, it's the day after the election. One side has claimed victory, and the other side has failed. They have failed to do what they set out to do. And I'm sure it is very, very painful for a lot of people today. I'm sure it's very painful for that candidate. You know what I mean? They failed. And they have a lot of work to do to figure out what they did wrong, what they did right, what they did wrong, what they could do better next time. Is there going to be a next time, right? But let me tell you something. Failure is a very, very, very important part of this whole process, especially in what you're doing, especially in business. I'm going to tell you right now that this is your first venture. You are going to fail temporarily. And if you need any proof that it's temporary, just remember we were in the same spot in 2016. Everyone thought the world was going to end. 4 years later, it changed. And then 4 years later after that, it changed right back. So it's this back and forth. Even if you see failure as this massively bad thing, give it some time. And it'll most likely swing back the other way. So that being said, understand that failure is a very, 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 very important part of this process. You're going to fail, you're going to get back up, and you're going to try again and learn from your mistakes, right? Because truthfully, you're going to learn a lot more from failure than success, because failure is painful. And humans, we don't like pain, the emotional pain. It feels like you just want to hide in a cave for weeks after you fail publicly, right? Success feels great. People could just heap on success. You may have gotten lucky and you win. But when you fail, it's probably you, and you get exposed. You feel exposed. You are exposed. Everything you did wrong is laid out in front of everybody to see. And it sucks. But you need it, because that's the only way you get better. All right? I'm going to give you an example. So, way back in 2004, I was doing stand-up comedy, and I had a side business where I would book my comedy buddies and some other local comedians that I knew. I would book them at little colleges and, different shows. I was basically like an agent for my comedy buddies. I'd send them out to the show. The show, the school or whatever would pay me, and then I would pay them most of the money and then take a cut. That was my little side hustle. Didn't bring in a lot of money. It wasn't designed to. I had a job at the time. I worked at a bank. I worked at SunTrust. Now it's now Truist, but I worked at SunTrust in the daytime and basically just kind of did this thing on the side. People contacted me. I'd step out, get on the phone. I'd answer emails, on company time, right? So it was a sweet little setup, very simple, very basic. It did not require me to be in an office or be on location or use up all my time. I could have a full-time job, no problem. So I had a comedy buddy get in trouble, and he actually got put in jail. And of course I heard about it through my friends, and I get a call from the penitentiary, and he calls me up and he's like, this is what happened. I'm like, man, I was like, how can I help? He said, well, honestly, you can't help. I'm like, how? He said that he had a friend, a very famous comedian friend. And they weren't like friends, but they were like cool enough. And when the famous comedian, heard what had happened to my friend, he had offered to do a show for free. And basically, he was going to let his friend keep all the money from the door. Now, this was like a big deal, a huge deal. Like, this big comedian comes in, does a show for free, and all the ticket sales go straight to my friend to help him with all his legal stuff, his bail money, and it's just, lost his job, all that stuff. It's supposed to just help out my friend. And I'm like, all right, well, that sounds good, man. Like, what do you want me to do? And he's like, Alex, I want you to be the show promoter. I want you to put this thing together. I'm like, me? He said, yeah, man, you already booking comedians and stuff. Like, I want you to put the show on. I was like, I don't know, man. It seems like a big deal. Like, I haven't done anything on that level with a comedian of that level. He's like, man, I believe in you. You got it. I said, all right, cool. We get off the phone. And I'm nervous. I'm excited. Super excited. Like, in a way, it's like I never thought my little side business was going to be like this big deal. But I was thinking, man, this could be my ticket to like being this like big wig promoter, right? So I call up the comedian's agent. We hit it off. We figure out some dates. The manager actually proposes a date to do it. And I'm like, hey, that's fine. I basically arranged with all the local comedians that are going to be on the lineup before him. So I get the comedians in place. I talk to the manager. The manager tells me what date he wants. The comedian's doing it for free, so I'm going to agree to whatever date he wants. So basically, I let him kind of dictate the terms. I go find a venue, and there's a venue that was kind of local that everybody knew, was familiar with. And I went to the venue, surveyed the rooms. Had like a big, huge room, and they had this little small room. And I said, you know what? I want this small room because we don't have a lot of budget to go on the radio and promote this thing. So we just want this small room. We'll pack out this small room and it'll look successful. And the club owner was like, no, we need to put it in this big room. I said, no, you don't understand. We are not doing this the traditional way of like being on the radio and getting on the newspaper and stuff. This is kind of low key. This is more of just a raise a couple $100, not try to go for thousands of dollars. He's like, oh, okay, well, if you're sure that's what you want, I'm like, I am definitely sure that is what I want. So we signed a contract to get the small room. So in the meantime, I'm trying to figure out how to get more people in the door. I print out 1,000 flyers. I paper the flyers all over the town, in the local area. I call the food bank, the local food bank, and they come and donate these big, well, they don't donate it, but they put these big food things for like canned foods, whatever. And I, talk to the local paper about this. I try to make it like, come see this show, but if you give like a canned good, you get a discount or whatever. So I'm trying to do multiple things, help my friend, help the community, do a food drive, and I'm getting everybody involved. Everybody is so happy. The day before the show, I get a phone call from the manager. He's like, hey, just want to let you know, we're going to be a little late because we have this other show that same day. And I'm like, what do you mean other show? He said, we're having a big show. At like, we have this place called, I don't want to give it away, but we have this place called Centennial Park here in Atlanta. And this comedian was going to be performing at Centennial Park for free. And I didn't know that. How I didn't know that, I guess I was just so caught up in like just doing the logistics. I did not even realize that the reason why the manager picked that day is because he was already going to be in town doing this big show for free. And so I talked to the manager and I was like, wait a minute, you mean to tell me he's going to be on the show doing this big show for free and he's going to come do our thing later on that night? Why would they come to our thing? Because we charge like $20. It wasn't that expensive for like a big name comedian, but it was $20 higher than free. So, oh God. So I'm going back and forth with the manager, like, why did you not tell me? He's like, well, I just assumed you knew. And I'm like, no, I did not know. So now I'm vocalizing how, like, why would someone pay $20? And he's like, well, hey, that's just how it is. You can still do what you need to do, but the comedian's going to be late, and that's just how it is. And I'm like, okay, well, can you at least promote the thing? Because the comedian was going to be on the radio all day. He's going to be in TV shows, radio all day. Can you like at least promote the thing? He's like, yeah, I'll get the comedian to say something on the 2 TV shows he was going to be on and the radio. None of that happened. So the day of, I'm at work. For whatever reason, I did not ask off. I didn't think I would need to. I'd never needed to get off work to do my business. But that day, I had like people were trying to pay online, and I had this credit card thing set up on my website. The credit card thing wasn't working. People were calling my phone because I had like, it would redirect to my cell phone, whatever. I had a business line. It was just basically forwarding it to my cell phone. So I'm trying to take calls at the teller line, trying to help customers and deal with the people who can't use their card because it's all kind of problems. They can't pay. They're getting frustrated. My manager's getting frustrated. I'm getting frustrated. And like, everything is going wrong. It's just like the slowest train wreck. Finally, I just tell my boss, just like, hey, I need 30 minutes. And I just go to the parking lot, and I'm just basically, I am pacing in the parking lot trying to figure this thing out. Meanwhile, the manager's calling me. He has all these demands about what we can and can't do and what can and can't say. And it was just like a nightmare. I get to the venue and they had dressed up the big room with all these balloons and stuff. And I'm like, wait a minute, is this for some other event? Because I have a contract for this small room. He's like, no, this big name comedian is going to bring all these people, man. We decided just to make the big room available because you don't want to have a whole bunch of people not being able to sit. I said, no, you don't understand. There's a free show today. Everyone just saw him for free. Now we really need a smaller room because I have no idea how many people are going to show up. And when I tell you that room wasn't even half full, it looked like a complete failure. The comedians that I had lined up, they showed up late. The guy that I had right up before the big name comedian, I didn't realize that the two comedians, like the local guy that was right before the big comedian and the big comedian, had some kind of bad blood. And so the guy that went up before the big comedian, just like he performed like it was his last day on earth, and he just destroyed the audience. It was hilarious. But the big name comedian couldn't follow, and he bombed. The big name comedian bombed. So here it is. We didn't even sell half the room. The big name comedian bombed. It was a halfway decent show. People couldn't pay because the credit card thing didn't work. And now my friend doesn't really make a lot of money. That was the whole point of doing this. He made bail, and he was actually on the show, so he was there. But it was a failure, man. There wasn't very many people there, and he kind of saw what was going on, and he was trying to be encouraging, but bro, it was bad. And at the end of the night, both the show promoter and the security guard basically coming up in my face, like asking for money. And I'm like, no, man, I got a contract. Security guard tried to like shake me down, like, let's step outside. I'm like, nah, let me show you this contract. And I basically had to fend off everybody who was asking for money. The big name comedian basically ducked out because he bombed. He was supposed to take pictures with everybody. He didn't even want to take pictures with everybody. It was such a massive, massive failure. The next day, they did a write-up where they were like, local show promoter, me, like, had this bad event. I mean, it wasn't in the newspaper, but it was like the little creative newspaper. People were commenting online, like under the article, about how bad it was. Oh, and there was no food in the little food bank containers. Like maybe like 3 people brought a canned good. So we had these big 2 huge like city trash can bins, like had 3 cans in it. It was the worst public failure I'd ever experienced up to that point. And I swear to you, I did everything I could. And I failed miserably, came up short. And I'll never forget, I just wanted to just sit I just wanted to sit at home and just not show my face. I didn't want to perform any comedy. I didn't feel comfortable calling any of my comedy buddies to book them. I really just felt like I just wanted to just disappear. But after about a week, I had a chance to really analyze what had gone wrong and what I did wrong. And I realized the biggest thing that I did wrong was make assumptions about everything, right? You know, like, why did I not take off? Why did I assume that this guy was just going to do this thing for free and just travel? I mean, he lived in like LA. Why would he travel all the way to Atlanta to do the show for free? I just didn't think about it. I didn't ask enough questions. I didn't know enough. I wasn't a show promoter. I was an agent. And so I didn't understand the questions I should have asked. I just went along with what everybody was saying, trying to help my friend. The bottom line is, my friend, we may have made $400, $500, I think $500. And I gave him as much as I could, and I had to cover my expenses, but he didn't even really get the benefit. And so I let my friend down. I felt like I did. He told me I didn't. Let my friend down, let the community down, let the food bank down. The food bank had to come back and get some empty things. And they're like, what is this? Like, everything was just so bad. And I had multiple people basically say that I did a bad job and did a bad service to the community by having this thing. This is 20 years ago. It was bad. But I remember, like, you know what? I will never, ever, ever, ever do something like this and make assumptions. I will make certain that everything that happens is in writing. I'm glad I had at least the venue thing in writing, because that saved my butt. But never again. I made sure that if my name is on something, I will be involved to where I know what is going on, and I have a right to make sure that everything happens in a certain way, or I don't do it. And since then, everything I've done has been a lot better, right? If there's any kind of hiccup, then it's because there's a logistical hiccup that I really couldn't control, but I never made any more assumptions. And for those of you that have a part-time job or have a full-time job and doing a side hustle, just take the day off, take the week off. Don't be like me. Anyway, this got super long story, but I wanted to tell you, if you ever fail hard and it's in front of everybody, it's gonna suck. Take a week off, lick your wounds, eat some Captain Crunch, watch some TV, some cartoons, come back, write down everything that you did wrong, fix it, and come back stronger. All right, that's all I got. Y'all have a good day, and keep your head up. It'll be fine. We'll be all right. Y'all take it easy.